So, good evening. How are you guys in the heat of this early summer? How do you feel? Do you feel
It's
hot?
not, no, it's not
No?
that hot yet. No.
It's hot. I feel hot.
In the middle of August, I'll feel hot. Right now,
Okay, then I will be
perfect.
boiling. Yes. Okay, so your thermostat is working differently. Lubomir,
Yeah.
what about you? How do you feel?
I'm fine, thank you.
The
Because
perfect family. You both have the same level of tolerance to heat.
yes,
Perfect.
No.
No?
I like I like good time, good weather.
Good weather, yeah.
Yes, and so we spent a good time together. And when the weather is nice, all of us are nice. And
Depends. So we talked with the kids yesterday. Well, kids, our kids, and my daughter said, "But mommy, once you wanted to go to Africa, you wanted to do missions with African children to help people. Why don't you want to do it now?" And my wife said, "Well, when I was young, I didn't take into account many things. If I go now, I think I will die because I cannot bear the heat. And now that I have these kilos, I don't know how my body will work. And I don't want to go and help others. And then it turns out that I need help, and all these people will have to help me. So maybe we can go and visit an African country as tourists for a very short while.
yes, this is
Maybe. I'm not sure." And my daughter started laughing, and we talked about those childhood dreams and young people's dreams that quite often don't work very well. So at home, we are heat intolerant. We can survive the cold, but we don't like very hot weather. We sweat a lot, and it feels kind of sticky. Oh,
yes, but we prefer hot weather
yeah.
against cold
Yeah,
weather.
absolutely. Preference.
Yes, but I agree with you about sweat and this time. But when it's hot, when the weather is hot, we can drink a lot of drinks, and
I
we
do,
can.
believe me. And then I
Yeah,
sweat them all out.
but if yes, maybe it depends. It
Yeah,
depends.
yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. There are different people. And I could notice, but this is really strange because my son and my daughter, they are like me and they sweat very much and they feel bad. But my wife, she doesn't sweat even when she goes to the sauna.
Oh.
But she feels really hot and she doesn't like it. And yeah, these are summer things, summer moods. But
Yes.
I hope they are not the reason for therapy. So they have not gone out of control. But today we're going to talk about those things, those, well, things in the bag that need some special therapy. And I'm sure that you have prepared how people can be helped using different techniques, different schools, different ways. Why don't you guys share what you have found out? Who goes first?
Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
We didn't have much time for research,
Come
but
on, really? I can't
still
believe
we
that.
didn't. I'm sorry,
Oh, I can't
but
believe that.
still we can share experience and
Yes.
can share what we believe would help. Because uh, when I was younger, I thought that to deal with such memories, like we called them last time, painful memories, the best thing is to stop thinking about them and just forget them, and
They will
maybe it
go
will,
away.
and they will go away. Yes, they will disappear, and it works for a short time. It does work, but after that, the um, their influence or the result of them comes out, and they could be the reason for other bad memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the most important here should be not to hide from bad memories and not to try to forget them.
Mhm. Okay,
Just,
so what is a good way not to hide and forget? Should you go and write about them on Facebook?
oh, what I do is to analyze them now when I'm adult and I can think about the situations in my childhood in a different way. And in many cases, I find out that um, in such situations that I didn't feel well when I was young, there was no big reason about it. And
So it was
I'm trying
irrational.
to deal with them
Mhm,
now when I'm adult. Maybe it's late, maybe it should be done earlier.
mhm.
But I don't know, when I was a kid, it was hard for me to think in such a way about such memories and such
Okay, can I challenge a bit here? When bad things happen now to you, are you able to deal with them quickly? Or it takes time before you get back to them? I mean, seriously bad.
it takes time.
Takes time.
It takes
So this
time.
is something
Yeah.
very important. You need to work with the emotions before you touch the memory.
Yeah.
Because if you do, it can be really painful and it can go out of hand. I have seen that even at university while we were doing special therapy drama or drama therapy. And one of my colleagues, she was about 35, and she had to play a naughty child. And another colleague had to be the father who had to, well, he was supposed to make some remarks, but he did it a little bit harshly. So she reacted in such a way, she exploded because we didn't know she had had such experience in the past. And even while this was drama, she couldn't kind of keep it under control. She exploded. And our assistant professor had to take her to another room to start some special counseling because it turned out to be very, very serious. And she had kept those emotions for more than 25 years. Later, we understood that she was constantly coming back and thinking how her father had done something horribly wrong to her. And these memories were so much alive. So all the emotions were still connected, which is really very dangerous. And what you said usually is the first step. The emotions should subside, they should go down, and then you can touch the memory without this explosion. Okay? Lubomir, what can you add? Or have you done anything that Steffi doesn't know about?
I'm not sure that because we share all the time.
Yes, I know that you do.
Yeah.
It's the perfect couple. Yeah.
She's the my partner, not only for our wife, but she's like a friend because when we met first time, after that when we start live together. Before that again also we try to share. She helped me for when I did something, and if this because we were younger, I was younger, and we analyze
And I was younger too.
Oh, come on, you're so old now. Come on, guys.
yes, but she can see a situation in different way with
Yes.
different angle. And when we talked about it, I analyzed and I try to react in different way about emotions
Yeah.
also. But for me, when I was a child, before our first meeting with Steffi, I tried to, they, these memories motivated and encouraged me to deal with them. At first, I'm, I'm, I'm not sure that I share with you about that I was overweight when I was,
Really?
yes.
I can't believe
uh,
that.
Yes, many friends joke with me, and this is this, this was my big problem. But I was determined, and I tried to deal with them. And I read books, I read articles, and I have a diet, and now I'm fine. I feel better.
Very good,
Mm,
especially after you stopped eating junk.
yes, I feel better now. Uh, Other things that my friends were not hooligans, but they are like a gang. They're interesting for girls, other girls. I try to, it's not, they joke with me again, and it's not, I didn't feel very good. And, but I try to find different way. I know I read I started reading books, and I was interested in a different way. But for me, these memories encourage and uh, maybe, but it's not. Maybe I didn't have big problems, so I'm happy about that. But I agree with you and Steffi about emotions, because at the moment, and I try to deal with emotions, it's very difficult, and
Yeah.
I need long I need for time and
Sometime, yes.
sometimes, yes. But now something small, something maybe I can react for like like we talked about Hulk. But
Yeah.
when I thinking about it, maybe this is other way to deal with our emotions, and because if I work hard and not really work, but many different emotions when we have something small, something mm, unimportant. I'm not sure.
Unimportant, yes.
Unimportant. Maybe we can. I think this is now I worked with work about it. And
Okay, the thing is that when you have an issue with something, uh, and usually it starts with a trigger. There is something, it can be an event, sometimes it can be a word, sometimes it can be a smell. There are people who, when they smell something specific, and they immediately react. This bad memory comes immediately and it takes control. So in these moments, you cannot rationalize. You cannot tell yourself, stop doing it, this is not correct, this is wrong. This is beyond your control. That's when you need help. Because usually it all gets down when this thing happened. Uh, you usually psychologists say you encapsulate. It's kind of you freeze in that moment and you stop developing in that specific area. And you cannot outgrow unless you deal with it. And some people, if they had a major trauma, they had a major incident, for example, um, uh, let me give a very severe example in the films. Parents kill each other in front of a child, and the child sees everything and blood and all these things, and the people that they love so much, they kill each other. This is something that many people cannot go over.
of course.
and they can continue living, but they cannot grow because they remain a child. In their emotional development, in their spiritual development, they stay there, they're stuck, and they need help to start understanding the situation, start seeing it differently, because they alone cannot do that. They cannot get out. And that's why therapy is needed. And what we saw in the book, there had to be someone else to help you go through that painful memory and get out of it, because otherwise you're stuck. The minute you start thinking, you're lost, you cannot move on. You start reacting, and it takes sometimes days. You cannot get out, get away. So good. Mariana, did you find anything? Did you do your research? I think you did something. Why don't you share
Well,
with us?
the first sentence about all these emotions was that if you have to resolve this problem, if you have to fix it, it's in the pain. The solution is in the pain. And
What do you
yeah,
mean
it was,
exactly?
I didn't understand how if you have some emotional pain, if you have to solve the problem,
Mhm,
you have to search the roots.
mhm,
Uh, so I kept reading
mhm,
and I found lots of solutions like um, if there is some kind of trauma, you have to exercise or to shake or first to accept that you're reacting in such a way because and you're not guilty for it.
mhm,
And
mhm. But was this some kind of self-help? Because this is not how a specialist professional will help. What did you really read? Where did you check?
oh, maybe it was some kind of I don't know, some online therapy, some
Uh-huh.
mental health,
Uh-huh.
something.
Okay.
Hmm.
But you don't remember exactly the site, okay?
No, I don't remember.
Good. So, do you think that when there is a serious issue, you can help yourself? What did they say there?
Well, if there is a serious issue, of course you have to search a specialist.
Yeah.
But uh, this was more like tips
Yeah.
how
Tips and
to.
self-help. Okay. Like what Steffi said, it's 20, 30 years later, you can go back and analyze. And if it was not something very big, you can manage to get out. Yes, I agree.
Yes. You can share with other friend or other person.
Yeah.
We can share each
Yeah.
other now in our class and our club.
Mhm.
But I agree with all of us that uh, it's work for small issues like
Yeah.
my example. And
Yeah.
when we had big issues and big problems, I think maybe that we need to start with some people who know well, and if he or she the, don't help didn't help, or maybe we can this our friend maybe uh, will recommend to or to contact with other specialists. So
Mhm.
this is the way. This
Mhm.
wonder because we didn't we don't deal. No, we don't.
Mhm.
I don't think that we can deal with all issues uh, yourself.
Yes, yes, I agree. What Mariana said was something really important, the issue of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, especially with time, people feel guilty because they say, well, you see, I can do nothing. I'm a bad person. And this thing is really um, stopping them. They don't want to look for help because they know it's hopeless. Nobody can help me because I did something horrible. I did something wrong. They identify, and that's why I told you they get stuck. They cannot move on. Guilt is one of the things. Shame is another. And there's a whole package. Yes, they are emotions, but not only. This is like their friends that they walk with all the time. Last week, I talked with a person that I was it was a friendly conversation, but that person said, I feel this grief is like a companion. It's like a person. I just don't feel sad. I feel that there's someone with me that makes me feel so sad. And these someone, it's like a friend that is always with you. And you cannot deal with that alone. This is serious. And that's where we need help. Let me share briefly, maybe next time we can continue if you want, but let me show you from this is kind of specialized website for psychology. These are the major types of psychotherapy. One is psychodynamic or psychoanalytic therapy. This encourages you to say whatever is going through your mind. Usually this is the speaking therapy. And it helps you become aware of hidden meanings or patterns. This is Freud, and kind of looking, you dreamed something, what it means. You had this kind of obsessive thought, let's see what it means. This is more or less talking. You go, you lie on the couch, and you talk and talk, and it helps in specific cases. The other is cognitive behavioral therapy. This is another type that examines how beliefs and thoughts are linked to behavior. You do this because you believe that. I believe this is one of the best ways, because most often these kind of painful memory has to do with a lie that you accept, and it starts forming your mind, your life, your behavior. And this type of therapy helps very often because it has to do with behavior, analyzing behavior. Why do you react like that? I don't know, I'm just losing control. Okay, when was the first time that it happened? How did it start? Let's see, was there anything specific that provoked it? And again, they talk and discuss, but they look for the connection between beliefs, thoughts, and behavior. So it helps by building skills how to retrain your behavior. For example, sometimes they say, if you're afraid of heights, you should face that fear and you should start climbing. And the first time you can climb 2 steps and go back. Then next week you climb 4 steps. This is kind of retraining your behavior to face the problem. And quite often it helps. Then cognitive analytical. It uses the methods of psychotherapy and cognitive therapy, but it helps to understand how the behavior causes problems, especially when you react like that. What does it do to your wife, your children, how your behavior affects other people, and because of that you try to find the motivation to change. Usually it helps with self-help, what Mariana found, experimentation until you find your own way, because they say in this kind of therapy that there is no universal way. We need to find your way, and that's why we need to analyze a lot of things. And the interpersonal, usually this is family therapy. Usually this is, it involves relationships. but quite often it's connected with losing a loved one, for example, a parent or a spouse, and you go through this bereavement or grieving process. Sometimes you cannot manage because you love that person too much. And this helps, this interpersonal therapy helps deal with that. Humanistic therapies, they're very popular today, help you to improve self-awareness, who you are, what you can do, positive thinking. This is something that sells very much, but unfortunately, this is kind of very shallow. They don't deal with the problems. They kind of try to find the upgrade, but quite often it's not really possible. And family and couple therapy. So usually you don't go alone, you go together with your husband or wife, and this is really interesting, but quite often it's very helpful, because if you work with one and you work with the other, they seem okay, but when they come together, ooh, it's an explosion. So these are the basic types, and they are not so very different. Usually what we do in therapy sessions, it is trying to find what started the whole thing and how it changed the normality of the person. Why do they react in the way they do? Why do they believe the way they do? And the psychotherapist tries to deal with that, while the psychiatrist will give you drugs to help you somehow with chemical substances feel calm, not so stressed out, not so anxious. They use chemicals and drugs, and I don't believe that's a very successful therapy, because it's temporary. When you stop using the drugs, the problem is there. So these are basically the most common ways, and usually, if you want, we can continue next time, but I don't think we should focus so much on this. I think we should move on to the next chapter and see what we have there. Would you like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So next chapter coming, you will have it for next week. Do your homework as excellent students you have always been. Go read the chapter, and we just try to get the essence, what's important for you in that chapter, and we will discuss that next week. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Good. It's a challenge. So thank you. You shared very good things today, very practical stuff. And next week, we will discuss the next chapter. We're almost moving to the end of the book.
All right.
Okay, so thank you guys. Thanks for being
Thank
together.
you.
And see you again soon.
Soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.